It's not possible for me to um, explain how false and criminal the community college has been. And the Seattle Art Museum. The fact that Yoko Ono's attorney began writing to me in the mid 80s, and I've been through horrible terrorism and suffered bodily injuries of great gravity, clarifies that the media system has been harvesting my life's work as an act of criminal insanity by Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, and their network of gangsters, apparently gleefully led by Louis Lapham's challenge that I should have to explain not understanding something. In other words, let me give you an example of this. I was sent over to Jeff Thompson, the engineer across the street who married my half sister, to teach me algebra because I was struggling with algebra in sixth grade, I think it was, fifth or sixth grade. He's the one who took me to Deliverance and built shacks all over the neighborhood and worked for U.S. Steel. And brilliant draftsman, did a dam in Japan. And he put out a slide rule. He was supposed to be teaching me algebra, and of course I cried. I mean, it just upset me. It didn't make any sense to me. You know, he was just solving problems and showing off. He didn't help me with my algebra. And I never learned algebra in my whole life. It was an act of sabotage. And Louis Lapham wants me to explain why I didn't learn why I'm a defective. I'm deaf. So what I'm talking about is even though they chose me to torture me and make me deaf because my father's chest full of medals and being in the aristocracy of talent, when I was abandoned, they grabbed me, gassed me, hypnotized me, put me unconscious. This was an Attica State Prison psychiatrist. It's not anybody's imagination. Bernard Wattenmaker put his name on the letters they sent me. So the governors of Pennsylvania, Maine, Montana, and Washington are criminally depraved. They're engaged in elder abuse. I have Parkinson's now. By denying what is obvious, which is this psychiatrist at Attica State Prison sent me letters about what they were doing to me. I mean, it's clear-cut case of cold-blooded homicidal denial by these people claiming to be my relatives and claiming to be my friends. And apparently they're getting bribed by Yoko Ono with gargantuan sums of money. So to torture somebody who's symbolic of the word sea, it's a Japanese revenge attack. It has nothing whatsoever to do with John Lennon. It was all in place when he was alive and well. They were doing it already. And it was the same gang who was doing it already. This is signature about their violence, their sadism, their fetishism, their sinister invasiveness. Now, you can rationally prove that these people from Sound Mental Health, Seattle Art Museum, Carnegie Mellon University knew, of course, that I had been tortured and kidnapped and made it a point to advertise that they knew. You can make a case. The Bar Association will refuse to hear it. The police will refuse to hear it. My peers will refuse to hear it. My family will refuse to hear it. The municipal will refuse to hear it. But you can make a case. It's ironclad. When they lured me into a house in which they brought in a man who had terribly brutalized me. So badly, I took to hiding in the towel closet at home and forced my mother, in tears beyond tears, to move. They locked the door from the inside because they knew I would run to try to get out. So that's the so-called peers. They've been playing this game, Carnegie Mellon University, and some homeless advocates, people who were drug-oriented human traffickers, which is what the Catholic worker and Thomas Merton Center do in Pittsburgh. They traffic people, they get them drug out, they blackmail them, they steal from them, and and demand cooperation, where you'll have to sleep on the streets. That's what they do in Pittsburgh. They put together this thing called Blast Furnace Radio. And then they made the record play, hypnotizing and torturing me as a child. Now, if you were dealing with normal professional human beings, they would say that's Jimmy Carrere, Rod Crary's little boy. He's been confused and terrified for as long as I've known him. Where did these flipped out carnal memories that he belched subconsciously, obviously, come from? And they actually had a witness that came who was 14 years old when I was 13, who said that comes from when he was 13 years old. And the older men who were 21, 18, 21 years old did it for fun with a girl, and he heard about it. They would say, okay, Jimmy was being held in the presence and custody of adult sexually depraved individuals, and he overheard something. He's obviously mentally scarred. That would be a professional, mature mental health assessment. To this day, Blast Furnace Radio uses it to blackmail, to threaten, to terrorize, and in fact inflict homicidal cruelty. They've killed people. Not Blast Furnace Radio themselves necessarily, but the network of people who listened in, who were encouraged by Sean Lennon, who were informed by this network from Carnegie Mellon Mental Health, Seattle Art Museum, all with purse strings on Schulman's looting of Carnegie museums, because the poor need money. So we're going to sell a 13-year-old soul. They give me Parkinson's. I mean, they're like sucking on a siphon. How badly can we hurt them to get money for our law firm? It's like a gizmo of hotwire the legal system. And they call themselves peers, and they call themselves family. And the media center has people like Louis Lapham saying, make him explain why he didn't understand why that was going on. Make him explain why a deaf person who has been deliberately brain damaged would play act. Now, they knew when they brought me in from the kitchen where the door was locked from the inside that I would play act because, here's what play acting is. It's happened outside here on the streets when I first moved here. A Rottweiler that wasn't on a pit bull, that wasn't on a leash, came barking mad up at me, and I play acted. Oh, 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 and screamed for the owner to please pull him away before he hurt me. Okay, so that's what play acting is. Ooh, to the Rottweiler and the pit bull. They had it locked from the inside. They say, see, he's friends with the Rottweiler and the pit bull. He loves the Rottweiler. He's a masochist who loves to be terrorized by ravenous barking dogs. And they made it spin. They made it work. They kept me out of school for 15 years. They refused to review the evidence that you can see. It's not even that, it's significant evidence. It's not all that much. I could pick it up and carry it over here and show it to you in the camera. They refuse to review it. They say the administration of mental health. They say they're municipal. They say they're administrators of a community college. The group that is supposedly a coalition for individuals with disability forcibly advocated for rock stars who subjected me to romantic pedophilia when I was 14 years old. Advocated for them. Advocated for murderers who tortured me. Advocated for them. Could not believe that I did not want the autograph of the perpetrators of Cersei Kennedy and when she was killed by them. Could not believe it. Why don't you want their autograph? Is something wrong with you? I could pick that material up and bring it over here and show you. The peers at school say, no, we don't want to know what's in that. The Congress, the representatives at the Community Prevent Violence Center. No, we're not going to look at that. The librarians. No, we're not going to look at that. Because they have too much fun making the tea kettle go off. Woo! They're gaslighters. And they get these people who are all knowledgeable about climate change and ecology and progress in human affairs. The United Nations bigwigs. People like George Monbiot of Britain, who knows how to make food that tastes just like meat out of vegetables and settles in your tummy dark and handsome like meat. And he says, boo, people use gaslighting 70% more than they need to. You know what the other 30% is? Victims of gaslighting who do not know the word, who do not understand how it's scientifically and strategically deployed by people who study it and engage in it deliberately for entire lifetimes of sadism. That 30% is where I am. I did not know what gaslighting was. I was deaf so people could lie to my face. I made up the word face liars about the city of Pittsburgh because that's what the city of Pittsburgh are. I made up the word face liars to explain the city of Seattle because that's what the city of Seattle is. It's a face liar culture. These people come to you and lie to your face. And if you don't know the word gaslighting, the joke is on you. Guaranteed. The joke is on you. And they say it. They put it in posters. They put it in stickers outside the library where they pulled a fast one on me when I was young and handsome. That destroyed my life. They blew up a blast furnace radio that they had implanted with the help of a man named Wattenmaker. Ain't that a butch name? Wattenmaker. And they did it strategically and deliberately because they said it would be worth money. To anybody but me, it would be worth money. And if I said you should pay me for my injury, for my life's work, for my attempts to warn people about this, they say you're trying to exploit the tragedy of someone whose death they made up as an act of Hollywood to build this monstrosity as a revenge crime for roll out the red carpet for Tojo Ronin because Germany and England and American rednecks and even some of the NAACP decided that Japanese women deserved a little tribute. So we'll give some Yankee liberal to them for licky chops therapy and gloat. And it will be just like starting over.